All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome into this episode of the Chiefs Zone podcast. I am Farzine Vesugian here in sunny Cancun, Mexico, enjoying the drinks, the weather, all that good stuff here. I don't know what the weather was like. I think it was raining in Kansas City today. Hope you guys are enjoying that because I'm enjoying some beautiful weather here. But nonetheless, we're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk Chiefs Cowboys on a very short week. And got a little bit of exciting news for you fans on the Missouri side of Chiefs Kingdom. You'll want to tune into that later on here. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to talk some Chiefs as well, as the Chiefs coming off a really big win on Sunday against the Colts. Going to recap that a little bit. Can't spend too much time on that because it is a short week and the Chiefs moving on their injury report. A couple of concerns, but a majority of them not too much. We did learn that the Chiefs will be without one player, possibly two, for Thursday's game on Thanksgiving against the Cowboys. We'll get into that and more here on this episode of the Chiefs Zone podcast. Want to let you know this podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. You guys are traveling for Thanksgiving. You guys can go to Dallas for the game. You guys can also go to the Chiefs-Texans Sunday Night Football game at Arrowhead. That'll be taking place next, not this coming week, but the following week. Chiefs also have another big home game against the Chargers after that as well. College football bowl game is going to be coming up real soon. A lot of sports action you can catch in person, and you can get all of your tickets through SeatGeek. And if you're a new SeatGeek customer, you can use my promo code Farzine and save $20 off your first purchase from SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com, pick your tickets at checkout. New customers can enter my promo code Farzine for $20 off their first order from SeatGeek. And by the way, if I don't talk to any of you guys the rest of the week, just want to give a big happy Thanksgiving to all of you guys. Grateful and thankful for all of you guys, the support this year. I say this every year. The podcast and the social media continue to grow every year, and that's because of you guys, and I'm really grateful for that. Not trying to do one of those cheesy, Thanksgiving references here, but no, it is greatly appreciated. I know some of you guys will probably not catch any of the live streams on Thursday, so if that's the case, hey, that's okay. Understand people are going to be traveling with family, doing Thanksgiving festivities, so that is certainly understandable. Choker says, as a truck driver, if you don't quit rubbing in the nice weather, I'm going to follow. Yeah, probably deserve that. Thank you. It is trying to fit the theme here for where I am, but none of you guys care about that. So let's get into the Chiefs football. A quick reminder for Thursday, we will do a pregame live chat. Don't quote me exactly on the time, but I'm aiming for 10:30 a.m. Central Time, just to be safe with travel, getting back and whatnot. So 10:30 a.m. Central Time, that is when we are expecting to do the pregame live chat on Thursday. Then halftime, postgame, that's all going to be normal. Yes, even on Thanksgiving, we'll be doing a postgame podcast. Not sure how long it'll be because it is a holiday. Not exactly sure how many viewers we'll have that day. We've had a lot of viewers and callers on Christmas game, so we'll see if that'll still be the case for a Thanksgiving game. This is the first time in the history of the podcast that the Chiefs are playing on Thanksgiving, because we started this in 2007, and the Chiefs played on the first ever Thanksgiving night game. That was against Denver. Funny enough, the Chiefs that year made the playoffs as a wild card team. Could they? That year on Thanksgiving, the only other time they played on Thanksgiving, I'm trying to think. Have the Chiefs played on any other Chiefs on Thanksgiving? I'm trying to think. I can't recall if they've played on Thanksgiving. There's a Wikipedia. I don't know if it shows every single Thanksgiving game on this Wikipedia. I probably should have looked this up beforehand. Let me see what it says for the Chiefs. Well, the Chiefs had a lot of Thanksgiving Day games back in the AFL days, but in terms of modern NFL, let's see. The Chiefs lost to the Raiders in 1967. In 1968, they beat the Oilers. And then in 1969, they beat the Broncos 31-17. 71, they lost to the Lions. 81, they lost to the Lions. 87, they beat the Lions. Let's see. They've actually played the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving before. Lost that one in 95, 96, beat the Lions. And then 2006, was their most recent Thanksgiving Day game. It was actually the first ever Thanksgiving triple header and the first ever Thanksgiving night game. That was on NFL Network, and I remember that was a big deal because that's when NFL Network started to do these Thursday games, and a lot of people were upset because they weren't quite sure, how to access games if they weren't in the market. So, and I think just about every single cable provider has NFL Network. But this is not on NFL Network. This is going to be on CBS, so we'll get into that a little later on. Let's start here talking about the Kansas City Chiefs and the game they came off of, because were the Chiefs supposed to win this game? Well, going into it, they were the 3.5-point betting favorites. But as the game went on, it looked really bleak. And you know how there are other games happening on CBS, and whenever those games end, they'll switch it to another game that's taking place so you can catch the fourth quarter of whatever close game is going on. And the announcers will say, hey, we welcome you for those who watch, Raiders versus Chargers or whoever. And every time they welcome the new audience from a different game, Tony Romo would allude every time they brought in new viewers, say, hey, look, for those of you who were not aware, the Chiefs did not look like they were going to win this game. They entered the fourth quarter down 11 points. And listen, this is another fourth quarter comeback for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, but this one just seemed very unlikely with how low-key the offense was and just the way the offense came alive. Rashee Rice got off to a really slow start in this one. Rashee Rice, statistically speaking, had the best game of his career. 140 receiving yards, 103 yards after the catch, both career highs for him. He had catches of 41 yards, 47 yards, 19 yards, and 21 yards. This is from the final minute of the third quarter all the way to overtime. Rashee Rice really came through for the Chiefs at the end of the third quarter and then all the way through the end of the game, including overtime. Xavier Worthy had 59 yards. That includes a big 31-yard play in overtime to bring the Chiefs within field goal range. They obviously got much closer at that point. Hollywood Brown, he had one catch for 10 yards. It was just one catch, but it was one where he made a defender miss to keep the chains moving, and that eventually led to a touchdown drive after that catch there. So you saw the wide receiver trio do their thing. I think this is what you want for the wide receiver trio. You want one guy that stands out, has a big game like 140 yards for Rice. Somebody else gets 50 to 60 yards like Worthy did. And a little more would be ideal. Hollywood Brown got involved a little bit here. They're still not getting Tyquan Thornton involved. And Tracy Wolfson tweeted Sunday morning, said, based on conversations I've had, I would expect Tyquan Thornton to get involved more. Well, we didn't see that in this game. And I'm just wondering, it was just one target, and it was kind of a rough pass to where it wasn't double coverage. Mahomes did not want to risk a throw there. What's it going to take for the Chiefs to get Tyquan Thornton more involved? I mean, I understand. I was expecting him to see less playing time. I wasn't expecting him to just not get targeted at all with Worthy and Rice both returning. So I don't know. I mean, you've got to find he's just got way too much talent to not be used and to only be targeted once or twice a game. I mean, it just feels like whenever this guy catches a pass, he does something big. He's been your most effective receiver this year. Utilize him. Find a way to do it. The Chiefs utilized Kareem Hunt, gave him the ball 30 times, was not the best in terms of a yard per carry average, but those short yardage situations came through there like he always does. And they said it again on the broadcast. Nance and Romo, that is. That in short yardage situations, the Hunt bunt is what they call it. That is more effective than the tush push that the Eagles run. So, listen, it's good to see that this wide receiver trio was more active in this game, I thought. Casey, the bad news with this one, even with a win, I mean, with a loss, it would have been worse. But with a win, Casey dropped from number 9 to number 10 in the AFC standings. So the reason for that is because they had the tiebreaker over the Ravens. Well, the problem is the Ravens won and the Steelers lost. The Ravens are now AFC North leaders. Not many people expected that to be the case, given the type of start they had. But the Ravens are now leading their division, and as a result, the Steelers have a better conference record than the Chiefs. Now, again, remember something. It's week 13. If this was week 16 or 17, I'd be concerned. I'm still concerned right now, just to be clear, because Kansas City, listen, before the Denver game, which the Chiefs lost that game a couple weeks ago, the margin for error was already small to begin with, coming off a bye week. And losing that Denver game, winning this Colts game, but still dropping one spot in the standings, the margin for error continues to get smaller. You got to win this game against Dallas. And I'll tell you right now, I think Kansas City's going to win this game, because as great of an offensive team Dallas is, and listen, I think they're very similar to the Colts in many ways. They've got a great quarterback, top 5 in passing yards. They've got an underrated running back in Javonte Williams, who honestly does not get talked about much outside of Dallas. He's not Jonathan Taylor per se, who the Chiefs absolutely shut down for his second worst rushing performance of the season, yards-wise. But they found a way to win that game and shut down that offense. Not a single first down allowed in the fourth quarter or in overtime. 4 3-and-outs forced. And I know you don't see this on the stat sheet. Chris Jones had 4 pressures in this one. No sacks, but man, he was all over Jonathan Taylor. All over Daniel Jones' face. Daniel Jones had the fewest passing yards this year. I think it was 188 passing yards. So for the Chiefs to face a top 5 quarterback and a top 5 running back, and to give them their worst or their second worst performance of the season, I mean, that was a statement game for the defense. Much needed for sure, especially with how they looked against Buffalo and against Denver, those 2 road games there. And I know there was a bye week in between, but still 2 hostile environments. And Kansas City really needed to bounce back after losing to those 2 teams. Offense needs to be more consistent. And I said this on Sunday after the game. As glad as I was to see the Chiefs win, I do come away with more questions than answers, specifically for the offense. Because the defense, I mean, they've been kind of up and down this year as well, but they're still very consistent. The Chiefs are, 5th or 6th in total offense and total defense. They're top 5 in points allowed per game, need to be better in point scoring, which leads me to my point here. And this is what I said on Sunday. Which offense are we getting? Are we going to get the offense that we saw the first 3 quarters, or are we going to get the offense we saw in the fourth quarter and in overtime? And by the way, that game tying drive and the game winning drive we saw on Sunday, do you know what that reminded me of? It reminded me of the game tying drive and the game winning drive in the fourth quarter and overtime of Super Bowl 58. Did any of you guys feel that way? Go back and watch. And by the way, Robert, your comment on Trey Smith, that is extremely doubtful, and we'll get into Trey Smith shortly. And Patricia, I see your comment on Dameon Pierce. We'll get into that in a moment as well. But if you get a chance, go watch the fourth quarter game tying drive and the game winning drive in Super Bowl 58. Because, boy, Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion, those were the 2 best drives of his career. And in this Colts game, the way he stepped up and found open receivers like Rice and Worthy a couple of times, the game tying drive and the game winning drives against the Colts, that reminded me so much of Super Bowl 58, the way the Chiefs tied it and they marched down the field to win it. So I'd like to see more of that offense, especially this Thursday on Thanksgiving when you're going to face a high-powered Cowboys offense. And listen, I trust the Chiefs defense can stand up to them. If they can stand up to the Colts, who were the best in the NFL when it came to point differential this year, are they still the best in that category? I'll look that up real quickly. But man, for the Chiefs to just stand up against the Colts, who, by the way, no, they're no longer the best. They are at plus 112, which is still pretty damn good. But the Rams have moved ahead of them in that category. They're at plus 127. The Chiefs are at plus 83, which is good for 5th best in the NFL. No, sorry, they're at plus 76. I was reading Detroit. That is 6th best in NFL. Still good. Not as great as Indy or the Rams or the Seahawks, who are all at plus 100 or above. But boy, I mean, the Chiefs are still a good football team. I think a lot of people, especially in Kansas City, let those 2 games kind of put a dark cloud over what the team is. I just think there needs to be more consistency. And I would love to see that in this Dallas game. And following Dallas, they've got two very crucial games. One against Houston, which is going to be probably the second toughest game remaining on your schedule. I would say the other toughest would be Denver. The Chargers, I mean, listen, never doubt any team, especially a division rival, but the Chargers are clawing right now. They do not have an offensive line. And we've seen in Kansas City in 2 Super Bowls what happens when your offensive line is not at full strength. So I would expect Kansas City to do a lot of big things defensively in that game against the Chargers. I know that's ways away, so we can't spend too much time on it, but these are 3 big games coming up. You got a big game against the Cowboys. Then you've got a mini bye ahead of the Texans game. And hopefully the Chiefs can benefit from that because they need to win that Texans game. That Texans game is going to have massive playoff implications. And I know I've said before, it feels like Kansas City's playoffs started this past Sunday. So every game has massive playoff implications, even more so when you're going to face a team that's competing against you for a wild card spot. Possibly just any playoff spot if the Colts fall apart, which I see some people predicting. But we'll see how that goes. For right now, just go out there and beat Dallas, then beat Houston, and then the Chargers, because beating Houston, beating the Chargers, I would say those 3 teams right there, because I think the Steelers are declining. We'll see what the Chargers do if Herbert can work his magic. But boy, I think those 3 teams are going to fight for the 6 and 7 spots. When you look at the standings right now in the playoff picture, Jacksonville, man, I know they're a weird team. They're up and down. They have close games that they really shouldn't have sometimes, but for now they're winning more of them than not. And maybe Liam Cohen's starting to figure things out. I don't know. The Chargers, I know they have the 5 seed right now. They're going to fall. By the way, the 5, 6, and 7 seeds right now, the Chargers, Jaguars, and Bills in that order, they're all 7 and 4. I know Buffalo had a really bad game offensively against the Texans, and they almost won that game. They're not going to face a lot of good defenses like Houston. Buffalo's going to get the 5 seed. I would be shocked if Buffalo does not have the 5 seed. And that might be slightly bad news for Kansas City, because if they're competing against Buffalo for a 7 seed, they don't have the tiebreaker there. They've got to have a better record than Buffalo to attain that. So that's just something to be aware of there. Look, plenty of time left, but the margin for error is small right now. Listen, the narrative changes so fast in football. Football's a weird sport where you'll lose, and for a whole week, there are all kinds of narratives. Well, this week, the narrative of the Chiefs dying, that the dynasty is dead, all those things, I haven't heard a single person say any of that. So things can change real fast with narratives. Listen, I'll make this one real quick here. The Chiefs signing Dameon Pierce to their practice squad, who is expected to make his debut possibly against his former team, Houston, who they drafted him in the 4th round in 2022. He had just over 1,600 yards and 8 touchdowns in his first 3 seasons from 2022 to 2024. And then this year, 2025, played just 4 games and had 26 yards. He saw less and less playing time. Montgomery at one point, Singletary, took over his playing time in his 2nd year. Just didn't work out for him in Houston, and they decided to cut him. I saw a lot of Chiefs fans campaigning to get him. I honestly was indifferent about it, but to see the Chiefs get him, a lot of Chiefs fans are thrilled about this. I'm honestly not too big on this signing, because for now he's on your practice squad, who, by the way, I know Denver was trying really hard to get him as well on their practice squad. But if you're going to use him this year on your 53-man roster, I would imagine they use him for standard elevation for a couple of games just to see how he does. But if this is someone who you really want to use on your 53-man roster, who's the odd man out? I don't think it's going to be any of the running backs, being Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco, or Brashard Smith. Elijah Mitchell's on your active roster, and he's barely been used this year. I think the only game he played was against Denver. Could the Chiefs just cut him and say, hey, listen, sorry, we thought it was going to work, just didn't end up being that way? Could that be the move? Could Nico Remigio be the odd man out? Nico Remigio has not been impressive in kick returns this year. He hasn't. Special teams has been all kinds of a cluster this year. But man, I don't know who the odd man out would be. My first pick would be Elijah Mitchell. So that's how I feel. CEH is on the practice squad, so I don't think you would cut him. They cut Jimmy Holiday on the practice squad to make room for Pierce. So it's going to be interesting to see what decision the Chiefs make moving forward with that. Look, before we move on, I did want to say, as I was doing research on the Dallas Cowboys, I noticed something that kind of caught my eye, which was a little bit of a surprise here. Listen, obviously we were all on Harrison Butker for his really slow start, and that's putting it kindly to the season. Harrison Butker has made 21 of 24 field goals. And yes, he's 24 of 28 with PATs. That's not great. But have we been spending much time talking about Butker before the Colts game? Not really. I mean, he had one bad kick on a kickoff. But other than that, Harrison Butker has kind of quietly reverted back to his old form. He has 21 field goals. That is tied for sixth most right now. So Butker is quietly playing better. He obviously just had a massive game where the Chiefs offensively did a great job moving the football. The problem is red zone scoring was a big issue once again for Kansas City. But thankfully, Harrison Butker came through. And listen, I think like a lot of you guys, every time they put Butker out there for 5 field goal attempts, each one, man, I was like, oh boy, what's he going to do? He made all 5 of them. All five of them. James said, how did I lose my weight? Listen, I'm on vacation right now, and I'm trying to make this podcast as short as possible. A lot of people have been asking about my weight loss. I'll do a podcast on that separately. Long story short, man, it's funny. I actually met someone today here in Cancun who also has been losing weight this year. And I kind of joked with him. I go, do you ever get the question, what's the secret? And we both kind of laughed at it. It's like, the secret for me was getting off my lazy ass and being consistent with my exercise and my eating. Listen, you guys know the difference between eating right and eating poorly. Got to be consistent with your exercise. Here's my issue with that is I have such a busy schedule. Your health is important to you. You only get one life, and you owe it to yourself to make time for your health. So make time for it. Here's the biggest one, and I'm not a patient person. You've got to be patient. Everyone wants instant gratification in anything in life, especially in sports. Like if you lose one game, everyone wants you fired. But when it comes to weight loss, dude, if you do not lose 20 pounds in 1 week, people go crazy over it. You are not going to lose 20 pounds in 1 month. So you've got to be extremely patient. And I'll be honest with you guys, my weight loss continues to go down. It's been slow recently because I've been dealing with a back injury. That's all fully recovered now, thank God, because it was pretty damn painful at one point for me. But avoided surgery, was able to just do exercises and whatnot. Not going to bore you with the details, but yeah, a lot of it is just making time for it and being very consistent and being very patient. So that is the short answer to a long story, James. So there you have it there. A mix of weights and cardio. Yeah, Rob. And listen, I'm not lifting anything crazy. I'm not a linebacker. I'm not a wrestler. That is true, Joshua. So I'm not like going anything crazy. I quit soda back in college. So another long story short, which I'm making longer. I've actually lost weight multiple times. The problem is I got so lazy and gained it back. I'll let you guys know, spoiler alert, I'm actually going to donate a lot of my X large size t-shirts to the Duran Cherry Foundation, and they've got great foundations that they can distribute those clothes to. And I told Duran, I said, look, once I give these clothes to you, I cannot gain any more weight back because then I have to go spend a bunch of money on clothes. So that's there's a lot of self-accountability that's required there. So there's your answer there. Real quickly, before we break down the game between the Cowboys and the Chiefs, I do want to get into this because I brought this up. Jamar Chase put out a statement apologizing. He apologized to his team, the NFL, the Steelers, did not directly apologize to Jalen Ramsey, who he spit on, which is funny because first he did not spit on him. Then the next day, he doesn't want to do any media interviews. Then he gets suspended. He goes quiet for a whole week, and it took him a whole week to put out a statement apologizing. By the way, a lot of people on social media have been pointing out that his apology was like 70% chat GPT made. That's actually funny. Listen, I have no issues if his like manager or agent wrote up a statement. I mean, those things are common. Usually managers or agents will craft a response for you. Me personally, I always criticize these apologies because they always just come back to really make you look hypocritical, because he said he didn't spit on him, but it's on camera. Like, you're apologizing because you got caught. And the fact that people are figuring out that Chat GPT crafted this response for you and you didn't even directly apologize to the person you spit on. Come on, man. Like, what do you think the response is going to be? But listen, man, that's Jamar Chase. So with him, it is what it is.
Big news. It's almost your turn to get in the game because DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Show Me State on December 1st. Coming very soon, you will get fast payouts when you win, a safe and secure app that's easy to use, and promos that will keep the action going all season long. New customers can sign up right now and score $300 in bonus bets on launch day. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code CHIEFZONE. Again, new Missouri customers, sign up today and score $300 in bonus bets once we go live. That's code CHIEFZONE. The crown is yours. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, let's get right into it. Chiefs and Cowboys on Thanksgiving. This is going to be on CBS, and no surprise, it's going to be Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. This is going to be the fourth Chiefs game in a row that Nantz and Romo are going to announce. Not their fourth game in a row because the Chiefs had a bye week, so they had another game in between, but it's the fourth Chiefs game consecutively called by Nantz and Romo. Real quick look at the injury report. Noah Gray and Trey Smith, they have not been practicing this week. Noah Gray's in concussion protocol. Trey Smith dealing with a high and a low ankle sprain, so neither one of them are expected to play on Thursday. As far as the rest of the injury report goes, Christian Roland Wallace was limited today due to a back injury. Patrick Mahomes is on the injury report with a groin. He was fine today. Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, they were full participants today. On Monday, it does say limited, but the Chiefs did not have practice that day, so all of that was just an estimation. So it's good to see Rice, who had that hammy near the end of the game. Worthy, he had to leave the game at one point due to an ankle injury. It's good to see they were both full because on a short week, boy, it's going to be crucial to have all hands on deck. And to not have Trey Smith, that is a big loss. And the Cowboys are going to have a big hole on their offensive line, and that's going to be Tyler Guyton. He's also dealing with an ankle sprain, just like Trey Smith. He's not going to be available for this one. He has not been practicing. But as far as the rest of Dallas's team go, I know George Pickens dealing with a knee and a calf. He's expected to be fine. He's expected to play. I know he was limited, but the thought is he will be available for this game, and it's going to be a big game. Listen, Dallas is catching up. The Chiefs are trying to hang in there. This is the game with massive playoff implications, not necessarily head-to-head because they're in separate conferences, but both teams are trying to hang in there and trying to make a spot. Dallas should be in the hunt right now, but they're kind of behind the eight ball because their defense is so bad, and we'll get into that. We do not know who the referee is as of this moment. Usually that comes out by now. So, and I'm checking the NFL on this one more time. Yeah, we do not know who the referee is for this game. I'll check at the end of the podcast in case that changes, but we don't know who the official is going to be. It should come out sometime tonight. The Chiefs are 3.5-point betting favorites, courtesy of our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook, minus 185 moneyline favorites, plus 154 underdogs for the Cowboys. The over-under is at 52.5. Head coach, You all recognize this name, Brian Schottenheimer. Yes, the son of Marty Schottenheimer was an assistant for the Chiefs in 1998, a Blue Valley grad, spent 1 year at KU, then transferred to Florida. He was Drew Brees' quarterback's coach in San Diego, and I believe his father was coaching there as well. Then he was the Jets offensive coordinator when Chad Pennington was there, was the offensive coordinator for 6 seasons, then went to the St. Louis Rams as the offensive coordinator, was with the San Diego Chargers and St. Louis Rams, cities that no longer have NFL teams, was there as the Rams OC for 3 seasons, then went back to becoming an OC again with Seattle in 2018 when Russell Wilson was there, became an offensive coordinator once again for the Cowboys, and they decided to promote him to be their next head coach, replacing McCarthy. Their offensive coordinator, Clayton Adams, first-year offensive coordinator, was the co-offensive coordinator of Colorado in 2018, but it's his first year as the outright offensive coordinator. Was the Colts offensive line assistant coach in 2019, also coached their tight ends there in Indy, then coach offensive line for the Cardinals, and here he is with the Cowboys, and boy, he's got a good offense on his hands there. Number 1 in total offense, second week in a row, the Chiefs are going to face the number 1 ranked offensive team, averaging just over 387 yards a game, 12th in rushing, first in passing. They are 4th in scoring, averaging just over 29 points per game, 6th best third down offense. They're 25th in fourth down conversions, 47%. As far as red zone trips, 12th in that category, converting them into touchdowns on 61% of their red zone trips. Dak Prescott, he is 3rd in passing yards at 2,941 to be exact. Mahomes is 2nd with 2,977. He is 1st in completions, 2nd in touchdowns with 23. So he's having a really good season. We've seen Dak in this position many times, though. We'll see if that translates into the postseason, if the Cowboys make it there. But for now, 7 picks, sacked 17 times. He's got a 74 adjusted QB rating on ESPN's metric system. That's the best on ESPN's website there. Against Philly, one of the best games he's had. 354 passing yards, second most, 2 touchdowns passing, 1 rushing, 1 pick. He had 3 plays of 40 yards or more, getting the ball to George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, who isn't having as big of a year, but man, you can never write him off. Kevontae Turbin, who's also a part of that receiving core right there. I mean, he's got a lot of weapons to work with. I mean, there's a reason why he's been great all year and why the Cowboys have the number 1 offense in the league. Another reason why they have got the number 1 offense in the league, their running back Javonte Williams, almost 900 yards rushing, 5th most in the league, almost a 5-yard per carry average, 8 touchdowns, 5 runs of 20 yards or more, 49 first down runs for him. He is in the top 10 in all of those categories. So he's having a damn good season for the Cowboys. Against Philly, ran 20 times for 87 yards, was a big part of the comeback there where the Eagles were up 21-0 and the Cowboys did not allow a single point the rest of the way, and they came back and won against the Eagles there. So big one for the Cowboys at home, staying at home on a short week. Williams has had at least 80-plus rushing yards in each of the last 3 games. So we'll see how Kansas City does against him, coming off a great performance against Jonathan Taylor. George Pickens, I mentioned him earlier. Boy, he's had quite the resurgence. And he wasn't bad in Pittsburgh. It's just, he had some character questions, commitment questions. I guess this is one of those situations where a change of scenery worked, because he's going to have the best season he's ever had in his career. He's got 67 grabs, 8 touchdowns, 57 first down receptions. All of them are already single-season career highs. He's got 1,054 yards. He just needs 87 more yards to have a single-season high in his career in that category. So he's been good this year and having the best season of his career, obviously. He's in the top 5 in the NFL in yards, touchdowns, and big play receptions. So he's having a really good season. And against Philly, he was part of that comeback as well. 9 catches, 146 yards, and a touchdown for him. So almost a very similar game to Rashee Rice this past Sunday. Rice didn't have a touchdown, but he did have the 2-point conversion reception there to help the Chiefs tie it. So it didn't tie it in that moment, but cut the deficit to 3, which eventually helped tie it. CeeDee Lamb, obviously missed 3 games this year because of an ankle injury. Had some drop issues early on as well. Was a liability in that season opener in week 1 against the Eagles. Playing better lately, 44 catches, 632 yards, a pair of touchdowns on the season. Jake Ferguson, 65 catches, the second most among tight ends. Not necessarily dominant in the yards area where he's got 460, so he's averaging just over 7 yards a catch, but he's got 7 touchdowns. That's tied for most among tight ends with Dallas Goedert and Trey McBride. Dallas Goedert of the Eagles and Trey McBride of the Cardinals. So he's doing really well coming through for them in the red zone. When you look at their offensive line, Tyler Guyton, I mentioned earlier, not expected to play. He's top 10 among offensive tackles and pressures allowed with 31 and penalties committed with 7. So he's been kind of having a rough season for them. Expected to play in his spot is going to be Nate Thomas. Guyton was the first-round pick last year. Last year was a first-round pick. Nate Thomas was the 7th-round pick last year. So they drafted 2 offensive tackles last year, one of them in the first round, the other in the 7th round, and the 7th rounder is going to get the start more likely than not on Thanksgiving. Tyler Smith, the left guard, Tyler Booker, the right guard, a lot of Tylers on this offensive line. Great run blockers for them. In fact, the entire offensive line, great at run blocking, hence why Javonte Williams is having such a good season. But some of the weaknesses, you look at Cooper Beebe and their right guard, or their right tackle, Terrence Steele, tend to struggle when it comes to pass blocking. So we'll see if the Chiefs can utilize that. Chris Jones recently against the Broncos and against the Colts, he's certainly playing much, much better, and he's been chasing quarterbacks, forcing them to get rid of the ball faster than they want to. Chris Jones came through with some big pressures. I can't remember who the receiver was for the Colts, but they had a wide open receiver who could have easily jogged it for a touchdown, and because of Chris Jones' pressure, that prevented a touchdown score. So we'll see if Chris Jones can do more of that, because against Cooper Beebe, you got to try to get the best of him and try to get to, and they'll double team him, of course, like a lot of teams have. But with the wide receiver room that Prescott has to work with, Pickens, Lamb, their return specialist, Turpin, they've got a lot of great receivers there to work with. So Chris Jones is going to need to come through once again to try to prevent Prescott from having the time he needs to get the ball to those guys. Switching over to the defensive side, coordinated by Matt Eberflus. Crazy enough, the last time we saw him before this year, he was the Bears head coach, and he was fired the day after Thanksgiving because of that terrible clock management at the end of the game where against the Lions, Caleb Williams got sacked with 30 seconds left, and the Bears took forever with a timeout in their disposal to get a playoff, and they just had to heave it down the field. I went back and listened to that. Jim Nantz and Tony Romo were just confused with the management there, but Eberflus is back to being a defensive coordinator. He's with the Cowboys, was the Colts defensive coordinator from 2018 to 2021. He coached the Dallas linebackers in 2011 to 2017, so he's been with Dallas before, back with them again. Coached linebackers. His last college football stop was at Mizzou. He was a defensive coordinator from 01 to 08 when Gary Pinkel was there, so he's got a little bit of a local tie there, coaching Mizzou football. But the defense is not very good. 29th in total defense, 22nd in stopping the run, 25th against the pass, second worst in terms of points allowed per game, allowing 28.5 points per game. They've got the worst third down defense, allowing a conversion 49% of the time. Fourth down, they're 8th in that category, allowing a conversion just 40% of the time. Red zone defense, that is the third worst, allowing a touchdown 69% of the red zone trips from opposing teams. They've got some notable names on that defensive line. Jadeveon Clowney, who had that one monster hit in college football, and that's all he's really known for. Quentin Williams from the Jets, Kenny Clark from the Packers, part of that Parsons trade. They've got a combined 6.5 sacks. Their edge guy, James Houston, he's got 4.5 sacks. They've got a couple of really good defensive linemen. Well, I shouldn't say too good, but guys with hard to pronounce names. Iziraku, and I think I'm going to butcher this one. Ijuzua? I'm sure I totally butchered that one. They've got a combined 11 tackles for a loss. The linebackers are not very good. Kenneth Murray Jr., bad run stopper. There's already a bad run-stopping team, and we just saw the Chiefs run it 30 times with Kareem Hunt. Pacheco should be available, which is going to be key, because with Kareem Hunt running the ball 30 times and having to turn around quickly on a short week, you're going to need Pacheco for this one. And I know Pacheco has not been good this year, but you're going to need to utilize him against a really bad run-stopping defense. Another linebacker not very good for them is Marcet Luifo, number 35, bad in coverage. And if he's assigned to cover Travis Kelce, I could see Travis Kelce having a monster game against this Cowboys defense, especially if Luifo is expected to be assigned against Kelce in pre-snap. So look for Kelce to have a really big game. As far as our secondary goes, I completely forgot about this guy. Remember Deron Bland? His rookie year, he had 5 picks. Phenomenal rookie season. And then in 2023, he had 9 picks, and he also had 5 pick sixes. And if I recall correctly, he tied the NFL record for most pick sixes in a single season. Since then, he's only had 1 interception. I know he only played 7 games last year, but boy, he's been extremely quiet since then. He's only had 1 pick, and that was this year. Crazy enough, that was a pick 6 against Washington. So he is a pick 6 expert. It just seems like whenever he gets the ball in his hands, he's able to find the end zone. Even though he's not getting as many interceptions, and I think part of it is, quarterbacks are trying to not throw in his direction. Whenever he gets the ball in his hands, he is able to go the distance. So the Chiefs have to be careful with that. But fortunately for Patrick Mahomes, some of the other guys in the secondary for the Dallas Cowboys, not very good. Malik Hooker, their safety, average cover guy, but Donovan Wilson, who's got a pair of picks this season, struggles in coverage. Their cornerback, one of their cornerbacks, Kalen Carson, number 21, he's bad in coverage. And their nickel cornerback, Reddy Stewart, number 27, not very good either. So some of the defensive guys to be aware of, number 21, Kalen Carson, and number 27, Reddy Stewart, 2 cornerbacks who are not good in coverage, and their linebacker, Marcet Luifo, I hope I said that correctly, number 35. If he's assigned to cover Travis Kelce is going to have a monster game on Thanksgiving. So 21, 27, and 35. Those are the 3 numbers to be aware of on that Dallas defense. Would not be surprised if Patrick Mahomes picks on those players in this game on Thanksgiving. Special teams coordinator. Let's see. I have the details about him, but I don't have his name written down. I've done that once before. Let me quickly bring up the special teams coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. Apologies here. It is Nick Sorensen. That's who it is. Nick Sorensen was with the 49ers, so the Chiefs faced him last year when he was the defensive coordinator for the 49ers. He's done some defensive coaching and some special teams coaching with the 49ers, the Jaguars, coaching secondary as well before becoming a coordinator. So he's done some defense and special teams work in the past. Nick Sorensen, that is. They've got one of the best kickers in the NFL, Brandon Aubrey, 19 of 21, very accurate kicker. Their punter, Brian Anger, 34 punts, one of the fewest in the league. Not as few as we've seen from some of the other punters in the league, like Matt Ariza, who hasn't punted too much, and the Colts punter, he has the fewest punts this year. And no surprise because the Cowboys' offense has been good. So we haven't seen too much of Brian Anger this year, but he's a solid punter for them. Their kick returner, I mentioned earlier, Kevontae Turpin, who's a big part of that offense. He's got the 4th most kick return yards with 918. The Chiefs just faced a really good returner not too long ago in Marvin Mims, who had a big return for the Broncos to help give them an early field goal. Kansas City's got to be careful because they have not been good on special teams this year. So they've got to find a way to not allow Turpin to have a big kick return. So we'll see how they do. Turpin also manages punt returns. He's not been good there. He only has 8 for 55. That's the best on the team. So punting should not be too big of an issue. Punt return should not be an issue when going up against the Dallas Cowboys. Got to give a shout out to their safety, Elijah Clark. I'm sure you guys have seen this. So Xavier Gibson, the punt returner for the Eagles, he fielded a punt deep in his own territory, which was kind of questionable to begin with. Elijah Clark's getting blocked by one of the Eagles special teams players. He got back up and chased down Xavier Gibson. I've seen a lot of social media accounts that talk about, mental health and wellness and money management. And a lot of websites out there are sharing this effort because he chased down Xavier Gibson and forced that fumble, which was a big turning point in that game for Dallas. And a lot of people are talking about the effort on that play and saying, hey, you apply this to anything in life, you can be like Elijah Clark. So he had a big special teams play for them. So that's a player you definitely need to be aware of. He's going to want to do that again for the Dallas Cowboys. So that is the Dallas Cowboys in a nutshell. Okay, I got the score last game correctly. I know a lot of you guys want to know What is my score prediction for this one here? I am going 31-21 Kansas City. I think Kansas City can score some points against this bad Dallas defense, which, again, they're second worst in points allowed per game. They are fourth worst in total defense, the worst third down defense. I expect Kansas City to do a lot of good things. They're bad in the red zone. They've got to turn that around because when you look at the red zone trips the Chiefs had this past week against the Colts, I mean, they stalled on so many drives. You've got to find a way to make up for that. I'm trying to look up their red zone trips on this one here. 1 of 6. Indy was 2 of 4. So Kansas City needs to be much better in the red zone. This could have easily been a game where the Chiefs could have scored in the 40s and prevented overtime. The thing about the Colts is that because Jonathan Taylor got shut down, the Chiefs said, we're going to force you to try to beat us with Daniel Jones. And listen, Daniel Jones is having a great season. He might be the comeback player of the year. But, boy, they've got to be the Chiefs defense needs to have a similar game where they try to take away Javonte Williams and force them to be one-dimensional. Because if they can do that, they've got a chance to hold them to 21 points. And I think Kansas City's offense will be good. So I'm going 31-21 Kansas City. That is my score prediction. Hey, appreciate you guys joining me for this episode of the Chiefs Zone Podcast. I'm Farzin Vasugian. Appreciate you guys being patient with the video and audio qualities. I know it's very different. I promise you it's the last time this week you will see that. Can't promise it'll be the last time this season. But that's a topic for another time. Once again, if I do not talk to any of you guys the rest of the week, if you're not going to be tuning in on Thursday, understandable. It's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving once again to all of you guys. Enjoy Thanksgiving with your friends, families, whoever you will be with, and enjoy Thursday's game, rather. And if you're going to be around on your phone, your computer, on the day of the game, hey, make sure you're checking us out. We'll have a 10:30 a.m. pregame live chat, and then we will have our halftime and postgame live chat. As we usually do, we'll have call-ins, all of that stuff after the game. Once again, I'm Farzin Vasugian. Thank you all for joining me on this Tuesday night. I will talk to you all on Thanksgiving. Take care.